In this video, Jessica and I, we sit down and we talk about 5 things that we wish we would have known before we started flipping pallets.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew what really you could expect when you start ordering pallets. Majority of the pallets that you're finding are going to be store returns, customer returns, overstock, shelf pulls. And actually, a really great tip is that a lot of pallets out there will have what you call a manifest. And so it basically has a whole list of items. Now, they won't tell you what condition the product is in, but it also will give you kind of a basis on figuring out how much you could probably earn from it. They do have like a suggested price on the manifest, which helps greatly, but just keep in mind that there's going to be a variant there when looking at pallets and looking at the manifest that comes with a lot of them. Unmanifested pallets will be cheaper in the long run. They're not going to cost as much, but the risk is a lot higher. So it really depends on you. It depends on what you're willing to risk. The chances of you making a lot more money on an unmanifested pallet is high, but there's also a really good chance that you won't make any money either, or even lose out some money. So,
and also manifested pallets, if you're looking at selling on Amazon, which we'll talk about later on, but if you are looking at that, there are software that you can get that you can upload the manifest into, and it can give you an expected profit margin based on the conditions. So,
but nothing is exact and nothing is guaranteed.
No, so nothing's guaranteed.
Everything you do in pallets is a calculated risk. So, tip number 2, it's where do you get pallets? Where do you locate pallets? There's a lot of various ways that you can do it. I suggest going on Facebook and seeing if you can find something more local, or it doesn't even have to be Facebook that you
Facebook,
look locally,
Google.
but I mean, just look on, you can look on Google Maps or whatever. If you find something local, you're not going to be paying as much for shipping. You may even be able to pick those things up yourself. It's going to save you a little bit of money, may require a little bit more time, but if you look into how much it costs to ship pallets, just make sure it's worth your while.
Yeah, and it's always good too, if you have someplace local to go to, it's best to go. That way you can actually take a look at the goods that you are buying.
Right.
But also you're going to save lots of money from shipping. I know for us, we're here in Arkansas. When we first started buying pallets, there's nowhere, the closest place is like 6 hours from us. So for us, we had to order everything without ever actually seeing it. And shipping gets expensive. We were buying pallets for $500 a piece for a certain kind of pallet, and then we were spending another $200 just to have it shipped to us. Also, if you live in a residential area, there's going to be increased shipping charges for that, just because they have to come in that. Or if you don't have a loading dock or a forklift, there's going to be increased charges for them using the gate lift for it. So
right. So basically, if you find a source, make sure you know all of the costs up front, and make sure you do like a cost analysis. Okay, how much am I expected to make off of these pallets, and how much am I spending just to get it in the door?
Tip number 3 is when you find a liquidator, do the research on them. Find out if they have an eBay store or if they're selling on their Facebook page, because chances are, if they are, they're what we call it cherry picking. They're going through the pallets themselves. Right. They're picking out all the good stuff, and then they're repackaging the pallets to make it look like they haven't been through, but they've already taken out the high profit items. And just for example, like when we were buying Amazon small box pallets, is that generally there's going to be 5 or 6 items out of that pallet that would pay for the whole pallet. And these cherry pickers, they'll go through, they'll pick out those 5 or 6 items, get their $400 or $500 in revenue from it, and then sell you the pallet on top of that for another $400 or $500. So just make sure that you are talking to people and that you're checking out reviews. If you go somewhere and you're able to talk to people with their experience with certain pallets, you're going to want to make sure that you do that.
So another good tip, tip number 4, is to make sure that you're making connections with other pallet liquidators out there. Your basic reselling groups, they're great, and we ask questions in there all the time, and we have connections with them. But people who specialize in pallets, there's specific information. There's specific tips and tricks that people out here have made mistakes. There's plenty of mistakes out there to make. Why not make new ones, right? So I think there's Facebook groups out there that Joe and I are a part of that really help. I encourage you to develop relationships with those people and make sure that you're getting the best advice.
And have people out there for sounding board that you can ask questions about certain liquidators or certain types of pallets, because there's hundreds of different types. I don't know about hundreds, that's maybe a bit of an exaggeration. But there are tons of different kinds of pallets that you can get from like Lowe's, Kohl's, Macy's, Amazon, and then different types, Amazon, Walmart, Kmart, Target. There's all kinds of different pallets, and depending on where you are and how you plan on selling those, it's going to really be key to you to make relationships with people to shorten your learning curve, because flipping pallets, it's totally different than going thrifting or go to a garage sale. Is that there are a lot of different tips and tricks that you need to have in your tool belt to make you a successful pallet flipper, to make your margins better.
You're playing with larger capital as well, so you really want to make sure that if you spend a lot, you might stand to lose a lot as well. So it's always good to have that community. It's just smart business.
So tip number 5 is, how much can you expect to earn? That really depends really on a pallet by pallet, truckload by truckload basis, because every pallet, every truckload is going to be different depending on the condition that you buy it in, where you're buying it from, or that particular pallet or load. A lot of people you'll hear say, especially in reselling groups, is that you make your money on the front end, which is, there are some truths to it. What can you expect to pay for these liquidated goods or returns is anywhere from 7 cents, you might find some a little bit lower, all the way up to 20 cents, 25 cents on the dollar, meaning that you can expect to pay 7% to 25% of the full retail value of the item. Like if this shirt was a $100 shirt, it had been liquidated, well, you can expect to pay anywhere from $7 to $25 for this shirt.
I also want to make sure that that not every pallet is going to make you money. When we bought a truckload of 24 pallets, and averaged probably about $350 to $400 a pallet, right? That we paid for. So now, when we open up a pallet, we have to make, in order for it to pay for itself, we have to make sure that we have at least $350 worth of product in there to sell. Not every pallet had that. Now, some pallets, it all evened out in the vast scheme of things, in the big truckload. But we did have some pallets that had maybe $100 worth of profit in it. A lot of broken items, or items that just didn't sell very well, or were hard to ship, or maybe cost a lot to ship. And so I think that always keep in mind that when you're buying something, don't get discouraged if a pallet that you have doesn't pay for itself. The first pallet that we had was terrible. It was terrible.
We still made our money back on it, but we didn't profit anything.
Right.
And for us, that was a big reason why we decided to purchase truckloads, is because you reduce the risk of unprofitable loads. Cash, it's for any models, you want the cash inventory, you want the cash back as fast as possible. In order to make sure that happens quickly, we decided by the truckload to reduce the opportunity that we wouldn't make any money, because you can go out there, you've probably heard stories, even truckloads of people buying pallets. Like, we've had some pallets that we didn't make any money on, and there's truckloads that people don't make any money on. Like, I've heard one story that just sticks out to me was a guy, he bought a truckload of Walmart general merchandise stuff and 24 pallets, and 14 of the pallets were velvet hangers.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts
So
me.
like, luckily for him, the other 10 pallets were profitable because you can get a Walmart load for about $5,000. So it's very easy to make back $5,000 off of 10 pallets. But
it hurts sometimes. It'll hurt.
Yeah. If you don't have a lot of money to invest, it's going to get a little tricky. All right, so we hope you have enjoyed this video. Go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't done so already, and hit the subscribe button while you're at it.
And if you have not already, check us out at www.thefamilyflips.com. And if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, what a coincidence! So are we!
Links down in the description for those.
Until next time,
Peace.